Hey friends, weebs. If you've ever watched Steins, you might have wondered about the real John Titor, a legend from the early days of the internet, where everything seemed possible. I decided to go read it for myself to truly appreciate everything that went into my favorite anime. And so I was, of course, extremely surprised when I realized just how fucking bad it is. Like, oh my god, he is the dumbest boomer I've ever seen, and his story is such an incoherent pile of trash that it's mind-blowing how they turned this into Steins. So take my hand, friends, as we journey back to the early days of the internet where everything was mostly garbage, but not quite. 2 girls, 1 cup. First, a real quick summary for those who are somehow not familiar with John Titor. Basically, John Titor is on a mission to find an IBM 5100 computer and bring it back to the year 2036, and he stops by in the year 2000 for personal reasons and to chat on random internet forums for some reason. Okay, so get this. Apparently the reason John Titor was selected for this mission is because his grandfather worked on the IBM 5100. Really? Rather than someone he knows, his grandchild who he's never met and would have no way to validate is the one going back in time. You're sure there's no one better, like, say, your parents? Like, he specifically wrote in that both of his parents are alive and well, yet never once considered that his parents would be better candidates for time travel than him. Like, what the? Next, his occupation in 2036, and I swear this is what he actually wrote, is a 20th century historian. Really, you couldn't come up with anything better. You could have picked any occupation, a teacher, a chef, a historian of any time period other than the one you're currently living in. Like imagine for a second being like, I'm a time traveler. Oh, really? What's your proof? I know what happened yesterday. Like, what the fuck, dude? That's so fucking dumb. The dudes who wrote this were a lawyer and a computer scientist. Do you not have to be pretty smart to do both of those jobs? Apparently not, because this is clearly the product of some hardcore brain damage, dude. Or more realistically, a lot of LSD, because let me show you what he wrote about music in 2036. Most of the music you enjoy today is available on archive. However, the days of megastars playing multiple track studio-produced music and lip-syncing on a huge stage are pretty much isolated to your time period. The general trend is away from computer-generalized music and more towards real people playing real instruments. Music is much more of a personal experience. More people know how to read music and play together in small groups. Jesus fucking Christ, that is some hardcore hippie boomer shit, dude. Like, holy fuck. And what's great is that more than one person actually called him out on being a boomer. Like, lol, dude. John's use of English is very baby boomer. There's nothing in his use of the English language that is atypical of someone born between 1945 and 1975. That's right. He came from 40 years in the future and worked really hard to blend in so he could instead not blend in and tell everyone he came from the future. And apparently the reason he did such a good job of blending in because he's a 20th century historian. Like, what the fuck, dude? That's so stupid. Like, oh my god. Like, what? That is literally the single dumbest profession he could have possibly chosen. And that's what he went with. Like, what music and books do you enjoy? Do you play an instrument? I read a great deal of history. I like piano classics and some older rock and roll. Why did that type of music go so far downhill? Okay, boomer. So I don't want to get too far into his predictions, because those are like obviously and hilariously bad, like the part where he's skeptical of global warming, but some of them really stood out to me as like, wow, dude. Good question. I would say the biggest difference is in the reliability of the hardware and software. It absolutely amazes me how willing people here are to accept computer and software failures on such a regular basis. You can look forward to very stringent manufacturing parameters and programming discipline. Ha! Thanks, Adobe. Fuck! When your software is so toxic that people are obligated to pirate it because giving you money is so obviously morally wrong. Like, this is not so much a shot at Titor as it is Adobe. God, you're a piece of shit company. You can see I use affinity. If you're watching this, Please sponsor me. But anyway, the other thing that really stood out to me is the part where you literally thought AIDS is a government conspiracy. Like, hello? What year is this? 1985? No. 2000? Hello? What? What the fuck? What kind of QAnon bullshit is this? What the fuck? But maybe the dumbest part is apparently he has no idea what a physicist is, because he frequently claimed to not be a physicist, yet often went into surprising detail about the workings of his machine and time travel, stopping just short of actually clarifying his extremely vague explanations because he's not a physicist. Like, he keeps going on and on about how he's only a pilot, yet he's carrying all these blueprints and schematics. Like, what the fuck? That is terrible writing, dude. You are inconsistent about not knowing anything about physics, but you're willing to discuss the operation of your machine. Which is it? Ah, someone already got this, you fucking boomer. By the way, please step on the like button. 1 like equals 1 okay boomer, am I right? But what really blows my mind is just how much of this garbage Steins managed to use. Here's his explanation for Worldline Divergence. The measurement for Worldline Divergence is an observation variable isolated to the distortion unit. An effective analogy would be a gravity radar. The unit sensors take a snapshot of the local gravity around the unit before a flight. So this doesn't explain anything or make any sense at all. Did this motherfucker unironically write this, thinking everyone would be too stupid to realize that it doesn't mean anything? I think he's too stupid to realize that it doesn't mean anything, because he does not even have a little bit of an idea of how space-time actually works. Like, he actually takes the time to explain how it's super interesting how you have to adjust for the orbit of the Earth because the time machine doesn't actually move. Now, there are several reasons why this is stupid. The main one is that it's not just the Earth that's moving, the solar system is moving in the galaxy, and the galaxy is moving in the universe. So if he knew anything about physics, he would have mentioned that. And the second reason this is stupid is because space and time are the same thing, so this is an entirely moot concept. And he specifically says that his time machine moves through time, not space, meaning not only did he fail to have a basic understanding of physics before writing this literally contradicts what he wrote about having to compensate for the movement of the Earth. Like, does your machine move or not? Make up your fucking mind, dude. Making real good use of that physics degree I was getting before I flunked out, eh? Oh. In short, John Titor is the original boomer. He's your uneducated, redneck, backwater uncle if he decided to write about time machines. When I first heard about John Titor and saw how he was the original inspiration for Steins, I thought, wow, this is so cool. But after reading it, I am just shocked because it is so much worse than I could ever possibly have imagined. So let me just leave you with this one last quote. Perhaps I should let you all in on a little secret. No one likes you in the future. This time period is looked at as being full of lazy, self-centered, civilly ignorant sheep. Ah yes, the kids these days quip, the siren song of every generation as it fades into irrelevance, afraid of being replaced by people who are younger, smarter, and more educated than those who came before. Okay, boomer. Thanks for watching, friends. If you'd like to hear me talk about the actually intelligent parts of Steins, I've got my 5-head playlist right here. Thanks again for watching, friends, and I'll see you next time.